Hi, thank you for joining once again. I'll be showing you how to install WordPress. Now, to install WordPress, we need certain tools such as your local web server. I'm using Laragon. This is what Laragon looks like. This is Laragon. You will also be needing WordPress itself and maybe a free theme and some plugins if wherever necessary. But the prerequisite really is WordPress and your local web server. So if you haven't downloaded your local web server, please download one, either XAMPP, WAMP, Laragon, or any other web server you can find. The most popular actually is XAMPP, in no particular order really. XAMPP, and then WAMP, maybe Laragon, and a couple others. There are so many other web servers out there. So this is my Laragon. Now the first thing you need to do is go to wordpress.org, and when you get to wordpress.org, you see this page. On getting to this page, click on Get WordPress. When you click on Get WordPress, it loads this page. Now this is download button. Once you click on this, your browser starts to download WordPress, and it's a zip file. If you want to deploy on your web server directly, you can download the .tar.gz format, but for the sake of this training, we'll be using the regular zip file. For you to be able to unzip files in your system, you should have something like WinRAR or 7zip or WinZip or something. It makes it easier for you to extract files very quickly. But if you don't have any of those, you can download them to make life easier for you, or stick with the built-in extraction functionality on your operating system, either Windows or Linux or Mac OS X. Now, I've already downloaded my own version of WordPress 5.4.1 as of the time of this training. It's in my downloads folder. Let me bring up where it is very quickly. And so this is my WordPress setup that I've downloaded. So I'm going to extract this. Now I can just double click it, and when I double click, because of the tool I have on my system, I'm using 7zip on my system, so it opens up like this. If you're on Windows, it may open up. If you're using the built-in Windows functionality, it may open up in any other way. The most important thing is you should be able to see the content of that zip file. Now this is the content of the zip file. You can see there's a folder called WordPress, and if you open this folder, you see that there are so many other files within that zip file. So the next thing you have to do is to put this folder in your local web server's directory. Now, depending on the local web server you're using, they are stored in different ways. Your local web server is installed in different locations. So for Laragon, for example, Laragon installs itself in drive C, and then there's a folder here called Laragon. There's another folder called www. Now this folder is where any website you're designing using WordPress should be. So for example, if I want to start designing a new website, I'm going to put this WordPress folder into this www folder. Same thing actually happens when you're designing on your server. where you have a public underscore HTML folder that you're going to dump your website files in. For XAMPP might be a folder here. When you install XAMPP, it will create a folder in the root of your drive C here called XAMPP, and then within it you should see a folder called htdocs. When you open htdocs, you then drop this folder inside of it. So my folder structure, for example, would be Laragon www, and then I can drag and drop this inside there. So it's extracting this folder right now, and that's it. It has finished extracting it. Now once you have put this folder here, you can go ahead and rename it. For the sake of this training and for things to look almost the same, let's rename this to coffee shop. Now we'll be building a website called coffee shop. We haven't decided the theme for this yet. We haven't decided what it will be, but let's assume that we're building a website for a coffee shop. All they want to do is just to say, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is how you can contact us. Finish. So I've named this coffee shop. So go ahead and extract your own folder, drop it in the directory. You can also Google where to put your files if you're using XAMPP or WAMP. For XAMPP is in a folder called htdocs inside of the XAMPP directory. For WAMP, I think it's a similar structure to Laragon, where you have WAMP, and then when you open WAMP, you find a folder called www, which you will open, and then you drop that folder inside. Now you can see from my own folder, you can see that these are different folders. These are actually different websites. So this is one website, this is another website, this is a coffee shop, is another website, this is another website. You can see that they are not jumbled up together. If you mix them up together, you won't get your websites up and running. You won't be able to do anything, literally. And then be careful when you are extracting your files. You can see this coffee shop. This is what it looks like inside of coffee shop. You don't have Laragon, www, coffee shop, WordPress, and other subfolders. It will not work. That's not the way it works. You need to follow this structure. Make sure that the extracted folder is properly named as you want, and the files inside of that folder look like this. Once you've done this, you can now proceed to the next step of installing WordPress. Now, to install WordPress, I'm going to start up my server. After I've copied all of this, I'm going to start up my local server. This is Laragon. Now I'm going to say start, and then once it starts, there's a prompt on my own screen. This is because I've configured certain things which is not really necessary for your own end, but as I know with XAMPP actually it might give you a warning that it needs to run with admin privileges. So if it's doing that, it means you need to run XAMPP as an administrator. You can Google how to do that. So I'll just go ahead and press yes. Now this is started. You can see my own servers are started. So if you're using Laragon, you will see something like this. If you're using XAMPP, it's going to tell you Apache is started and the rest of them have started. Now the first thing you want to do is to create a database. Now to create a database, you would need to access the database platform which runs on MySQL. WordPress uses MySQL database, not MS SQL, not MongoDB, really. That's not to say that you may not be able to run it on them. I don't know how to, but I'm most sure of MySQL. That is what WordPress runs with perfectly. Now, to manage your database, you may need something like PHPMyAdmin. Now, with platforms like local servers like XAMPP and WAMP, they already come built in with PHPMyAdmin, but Laragon uses a different system called Heidi SQL. But you can also install PHPMyAdmin in Laragon. You can Google how to install PHPMyAdmin in Laragon and you will find the guide. There's a guide on how to install PHPMyAdmin for Laragon. But even if you don't want to go through that stress right now, creating a database is still easy. If I've already installed PHPMyAdmin on my Laragon, if you have not installed it, we can right click here like this, go to now you go to MySQL. I have PHPMyAdmin right here. I was trying to look for how you can easily add PHPMyAdmin. I think you have to download PHPMyAdmin manually. There's no easy way to add it as a package really in Laragon. Oh, there you go, I found it. So if you want to download PHPMyAdmin for Laragon, just right click on it, click on tools, click on quick add, and then click on PHPMyAdmin. When you click on this, it will download PHPMyAdmin into your Laragon folder for you, so you'll be able to use Laragon, you'll be able to use PHPMyAdmin. Now, to create the database, click on MySQL and click on create database. If you don't have PHPMyAdmin, you can go through this like this. Click on create database, then it will bring up this prompt. Put in the name of the database. You can call it coffee shop. We call it coffee shop. I always like to use names that are somehow similar, so to speak, really. But you can use randomly generated names. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that you remember what you have used. Once you click on OK, your web server, Laragon in this case, would create this database. If you want to go through PHPMyAdmin, just go to your browser, type in localhost /PHPMyAdmin, then click on enter. I have a self-signed certificate on my Laragon server, that's why it's prompting for this. This is normal with Firefox or any other browser. It's a self-signed certificate, so browsers are known not to trust self-signed certificates by default. So I'm going to accept this. Now my default username for PHPMyAdmin really on any server is actually root. The password is usually empty. This rule applies to XAMPP, WAMP, whatever local web server you're using. It's usually like this. The username is root and the password is blank, but you can create a password for your PHPMyAdmin if you want to. So if I click go, this will log in. Now these are other databases to the left here that I've created on my local server. So I click on databases. Now to create a database for our coffee shop website, click here. Now say coffee shop. Then I click on create. Once I click on create, PHPMyAdmin creates that database, and if you look at the left, you see coffee shop is right here. Now this is a coffee shop database. You can see it's empty, there are no tables. If you don't know anything about MySQL, don't bother your head at this point. It's not a prerequisite for you to know exactly what is in here, but you can go online and learn a bit about MySQL to be able to manipulate information directly inside the database. Now I've created my database. The next thing I'll do is to install WordPress. I'll now show you how to install WordPress properly in the next video.